Hi everyone, this is Emily from the Accelerator, and I wanted to give you some reminders and some updates about action steps that we are asking of you and just some information in the Google Drive. So a reminder that you have the option of using Google Classroom to get access to all of the materials, the announcements, the updates. You'll note if you've been in recently that some wonderful people in some of our networks are dropping in resources as they create them, which is really exciting. We have collaboration happening, and it looks like we're going to have folks start to upload some dirt quizzes. In addition, we're starting to share some best practices, like this one from Chris about how they're looking at exemplars and addressing them in class. So I just really encourage you to bring your attention back to this Google Classroom and take a look at what's in here. In addition, there are two asks that I have of every network to make sure that we are staying on track, so I can keep an eye on what's happening at your network and have just a clear picture so that I can better support from afar. Note that down the left-hand side of the Google Classroom, you each have your own little page for your own network. This is where there is a link to your Google Sheet, which is really important for you to have it pay attention to and start in your favorites tab and etc. But this is also where you would go ahead and upload video to an IPP meeting. I've seen video from a couple of networks now and was able to point out some strengths of that IPP meeting and then like one or two places that would be helpful to go next. So you should go into your network tab, and once you're there, you should have the ability to just create a new post and post up a link to that video so that I can see it. You know who you are if I haven't seen your IPP video yet, so please send that my way ASAP. Another note is that we just have a place for tracking IPP in your spreadsheet. So I just pulled up Valor's as an example. If I went into Valor's page, I'd go into the Valor Google Sheet, and I just wanted to highlight this as a super strong example of how a network is tracking IPP that's happening in their lit classes, whether or not the meetings are happening, what the tier of focus is. These are the same for everyone's networks, and then chatting some strengths and challenges. This network has actually gone above and beyond to do some reflection about what's working the best in these meetings from a leader perspective and from a teacher perspective. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time there because I don't want to put people's names and information out there, but I did just want to point that out. It's what I'm hoping to see from each of your networks is that you're giving me information about what's happening with your teachers and tracking it. And you should feel empowered to share this spreadsheet with your leaders, as Seneca from Valor has done, for example, so that they can also type in the meetings as they're tracking them. So if you are not personally having IPP meetings, but your principals are, make sure your principals have access so that they can log those meetings in this tracker. So, action step for everyone, please upload for me an IPP video, and please continue to track week to week those IPP meetings as they are happening. I'll follow up individually with folks if and when I see that we're making progress or not. The other ask comes from our second webinar, where about exemplars and exit tickets and looking at the rubric and making sure that everyone's normed. If you have not already, if you were not a part of that webinar and there wasn't a representative from your network on that webinar, that's the first ask, is to make sure that you go into the webinar tab of Google Classroom and go ahead and watch the 60-minute video of what you missed from that webinar. The link is available here on this page, and it is just 60 minutes of watching, and it'll give you also links to, or you can go ahead and scroll down, links to the materials for norming on student response. What does a strong 2 look like? What does a 1.5 look like? What does a 1, a 0.5, and a 0 look like? making sure that you are really, really normed on what the exemplar, what the bar is for how we want our students to be writing in exit tickets every single day. And also just feeling like you and your teachers are accurately evaluating that student writing, both giving them the benefit of the doubt, rewarding them for what they do well, and also being clear about the gap between your own students' writing and the exemplar that's laid out. So a related request, after you watch this 60-minute webinar and grab the materials to make sure that you are as normed as possible, you are going to track for me data from your scholars and data related to their exit tickets. You're going to pick a lesson from Unit 1 as a baseline. I'm just pulling up one tracker here as an example. This is an everyone's tracker. It's a tab. It's called Data. You are going to, in Unit 1, I recommend lesson 10, lesson 20, something round. You are going to go and grab writing from 10 different scholars. I recommend you grab a range of scholar materials, so we don't want only kids that are knocking it out of the park or only scholars who are deeply, deeply, deeply struggling. Grab a range so we can really see what's happening, and we're actually going to track these 10 students all year long to see how and if their writing makes progress through this program. You have 2 fifth grade teachers, you might want to use 5 different students from each class, and again within a range. You're going to pick 10 kids from each grade level, so 5, 6, if you scroll down, 7, 8, and so on, of course, but only for the grade levels that you're doing program support with. I recommend that you type in an identifier that's a first name, last name is a lot of information. So you, if you want to use initials, that's fine too. You would just say like, this is the student AB, and this is BC and CD, except you're going to want to use their real initials. And then you're going to go ahead and enter for those scholars what their scores were on that exit ticket that you grab. So you're not going to grab different exit tickets, just one exit ticket, grab and evaluate the scholar's work. Note that there is an average that will tabulate as you enter that data. And like I said, we're going to grab materials from these scholars once a unit or even twice a unit over the course of the year now, so that we can see how and if those scholars are making progress. One other ask that's associated with this, as you're uploading these scores, you would also go back to your page, wherever your page is, and you would add a post and link to the actual PDFs of those student materials. So to recap that ask, you're going to choose one exit ticket for Unit 1 as a baseline. You're going to grab 10 scholars' work per grade level in a range. You're going to score and enter those scores, but you're also going to scan and PDF those data, those students' writing, so that I can check in on those as well and check scoring and check to make sure that we're all aligned in how we are rewarding scores with scholars. So recap, get on in the Google Classroom and see how many amazing materials are starting to be collaboratively entered here, and grab them. Remember to track IPP every week, and if you are not personally leading that, feel free to have your leaders entering that data. Make sure that you upload a video as well, and then before the end of Unit 1, you also need to enter data for your scholars. Of course, reach out to me through email or call me or talk to me at this workshop coming up with any questions that you have. Just wanted to point out that there's some things that are going really, really well, and the more information that you guys give me about what's happening at your networks that are far away, the better I can address some trends. Thanks, and talk to you guys again soon.